about negative emotion and antidotes. Of course, the antidote to wrong views is what?
Right views.
Right views. That's pretty obvious. How do you get right views?
Learning.
Yeah, right. At the beginning, we have to rely on somebody. So here, we are relying on the Buddha, but we're also relying on our own proper way of seeing things and seeing whether my view is more accurate than the Buddha's one, which is possible, and then this is fine. You just continue with your own view, and this is perfectly okay. So usually the steps are, you listen to the teachings, or you read about them, then you think about them if that would be helpful for you, and then if you find helpful, you continue to study, and you have to internalize it, and you meditate on it. Usually you reflect on it the way we did. So it doesn't mean that everybody has to become a Buddhist, right? Or to adopt this view. You can take whatever you find helpful, and the rest you leave aside. The only thing is, if you have views that clash, yeah, right? If you do believe in a creator God, then it's difficult to believe that you are responsible for yourself. I mean, it's like if this force, whatever it is, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but if in Buddhism there is no creator God. So then to use Buddhist views, especially emptiness, it doesn't fit with the creator. So then you have to be careful that you're only taking methods or things or views that are not contradicting what you already convinced that this is the way it is. Yeah? Otherwise, absolutely not mixing and saying, oh, this is Buddhism, I can't use it because I'm a Christian or because I'm a Jew. I don't think so. It's just that it should not contradict. Because why? I mean, all these methods, be it Christianity, be it Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, they all have a role to play. They're all there to make our mind clearer and our heart more open. And now don't go and say, no. They all have it if we understand it in the right way. So they all have, as His Holiness says, there's many different paths that lead to the goal that we want to go to. And they all have a reason to be. They're all valid. But for one who practices, you have to be very clear of what you want and not to mix up things that are then contradicting, okay? So like we talked about psychology and this and that. I was at the Jung Institute in Zurich once. They asked me to come and give a talk about, how death is seen in Buddhism. So they used terms I didn't understand a thing. They started about talking about superego or what kind of ego and this and that. And I thought, oof. They have more problems than we have, because we only have one that doesn't exist the way that it appears. No, I don't want to make fun of them. I think it's really good, and I'm sure that the psychology, for many people, the first step is to go into psychology before you start to look at your own mind, because if you have no tools ready, with compassion to transform your mind, you crash, and you start hating yourself even more. So you need to have certain self-confidence that you build up, that yes, by nature, the mind is good, not only mine, but everybody's mind, but this goodness is kind of hidden, is veiled by wrong views, and then it comes anger and attachment and all the rest. Okay, so yeah, I mean, psychology now, not, lately uses a lot from Buddhism. That's fine. It's okay. Whatever helps is perfect. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes. So I'm not claiming to be a psychologist, so be careful. Yeah, I know Buddhist methods. I apply them, and that's it. So yes, it sounds like psychology because you work with your own mind, but the goal is totally different. But like the goal in psychology is to make you feel what? More free, more self-confident, more happy, like that, and then it's good enough, isn't it? In a way, yeah? The goal in Buddhism is to bring you to the top so that you're free of all negative emotions, not having to suppress them or anything, but that they don't arise anymore, with this view of the I that is creating, or the self that is creating these negative emotions, with the view that it doesn't exist the way that it manifests. And this is incredibly difficult. Yeah, so don't think it's an easy thing to do, and it might take years. Just to understand what does not exist. Chadu Rinpoche at one point, I thought after 2 years, okay, now I understand this, what they call object of refutation. And then he said it took him 40 years to, and then I thought, okay, maybe I haven't understood yet. So you need a lot of humility. You see, it sounds very simple, this whole thing, and I understand, and intellectually it's easy to understand, and then we think it's enough. And then all of a sudden we see, it doesn't work. And then we think we are doing something wrong. It's just that intellectual understanding is not enough. And this is why practice has to be done again and again and again and again, every time, without anger towards yourself, without frustration, with a very clear and sober mind. Buddhism is very sober. Although culturally, when you look at Tantra, then again, it's totally different from Sutra. Yeah, like when you see yourself as a deity and you send out light and all this, they say, what does that have to do with logic? I don't understand, that. But you only go to these practices once you have understood the first step, and that step for us Westerners is incredibly difficult. That the same, you don't see it because it's a cup, but the water in this cup is clear, is transparent. That's its nature, right? You can have sand in it, and when I stir, it's not clear and transparent anymore. It's not the nature of the water. Yeah, so if I have sand in the water and I stir, and I want the water to be clean, I know that, first of all, I have to take the spoon out. Then maybe it comes down, but the sand is still on the bottom. So if we only work with attachment and anger and jealousy and pride and all these things, the sand is still there. We just took the spoon out, and we're not stirring anymore. Then it needs sometimes very little, and it comes up, and then we're surprised because we thought it was easy. All the high teachers tell you it's difficult, isn't it? Why are we so surprised when we notice that it's difficult? And they've had, especially the Tibetan teachers, the teachers who are now slowly dying, slowly going, they had perfect conditions to practice. They were invaded by the Chinese. But they had these practices before. They practiced them before so that they could apply it then in the difficult situation. And when you see, they don't have any anger, they just continued with their life. But this is very, very, very high realization. Knowing that there's more than just, what is here now. Knowing that the goal is to eliminate all negative emotions which come from wrong views. So even though we understand very quickly what they're teaching and what they're saying, but it doesn't mean that we can do it. So the thing is just continue and continue. We have no other choice. Except for, if we want to have, like Tommy says, lasting happiness, we have no choice but to transform our mind. Because even if you have perfect conditions outside, you still can fall into depression, you can get sick, your kids don't do what you want them to do, or your neighbor, whatever. There's always something that is disturbing. And this is the basic teachings of the Buddha. As long as we haven't understood that we see reality not the way that it is, there will be some thorns everywhere where we go, even if they're very small. Just this fact that if we're happy and well and all this, just this fact that even that outside conditions perfect, healthy body, looking the way you want to look and all this, but we carry with us 24 hours a day the potential from being yoo-hoo and everything is fine to go tuck into deep, deep depression, anger, hate, suicide, whatever. When sometimes the conditions outside change, sometimes they don't even change. And you know that when you do longer retreats in silence, you have days, I don't want to get out of here, this will be for the rest of my life, I want to do this, because something has opened, but it will close again because we're attached to that, yeah? But it's good if you have these moments, but not getting attached to them is very difficult. Because then you think it has to be like this all the time, and then you're looking forward for the next retreat. Should be pleasant, should be easy. This is why, when people come from a retreat, oh, it was amazing, it was wonderful, it was this and that. If you tell that Lama, he goes, yeah, you sure you meditated? If you go and say, oh, I think I didn't succeed because it was like difficult, my mind was very distracted, it was terrible, I wanted to run away, but I stayed. And he said, good. You saw the first noble truth, the truth of suffering, as long as you have this body and this mind. Yeah, because that's how it is in retreat. Sometimes something opens, you want to do this for the rest of your life, then next day you can't wait for the retreat to finish. How many of you have experienced this? Yeah, see, so you're not the only one. It is absolutely normal. So that keeps us going also. But as I said, first step is, and that's what we are lacking, this confidence that our mind by nature is pure. That's why this search for happiness. Because otherwise, where does it come from, wanting to be happy if we can't? I don't have an urge to have 4 arms or something like that. But I have an urge to be free from pain. And that would be our nature. And, all the stuff that's going on, all the suffering, it's so sad to see that the basis of that is wrong views. There's nothing concrete, it's nothing solid. And clinging to an I and wanting to have it one's own way and getting more and more narrow and, whatever is a little bit different from what I want, this definitely I don't want. So we can see that this is happening. But we don't have to participate in that. But this confidence in our Buddha nature, it's called, or Tathagata, the Tibetans, they hear it from very small, So they kind of go, yeah, of course. That's why also they don't have this shame and guilt and thing. They break something, they go, or break your cup. And then you're waiting for an apology, and they say, well, it's just a cup. You have 5 more of those. We go like, oh, how they, well, not so exaggerated. Inside, I mean. We won't show it, but it's like, hey, how dare you break my cup? With these negative emotions, like everything gets blown out of proportion. Because we have expectations. We have we expect something to be like this or like that. Yeah? So, but we never expect it to be difficult. We want it to be easy. It's not. It's not what the Buddha says. So when you have this confidence in your own nature, then you keep going. Hopefully next life also. So already in this life, one makes kind of aspirations or dedications at the end of the whatever of your practice. When you finish, you say, may I become a Buddha as quickly as possible in order to benefit other sentient beings. So, just having a happy life is not enough, because happy life and comfortable life can be very distracting, like you're not interested in practice anymore. Everything is going well. Why should I practice? What's the point? So that's what I'm saying. The Tibetans, they had perfect conditions to practice, and I'm not saying that everybody succeeded and came out of this difficult situation stronger. Yeah? So whatever happens in a retreat, whatever happens in your meditation, it's okay. The only thing that is asked of you is to check what's going on. Yeah. And the more it's amazing and the more it's wonderful, what happens then? The more attachment you have. Yeah. See, for those who have been to the FBT centers in India, the food at Tushita when I was there was, it was rice, dal, and tupo in the evening, and maybe some vegetables for lunch, the same spice, the same. You never spent the morning session thinking about what will be for lunch, because you knew. You could concentrate on your meditation. Of course, then, but Gaia, Root Institute, who had amazing cooks and also an amazing an amazing director who really put a lot of effort into serving food that was healthy and tasty and this and that. So you would sit with Antonio, you know, these 20 days with Antonio, and what he said, you say, oh, I wonder what's for lunch, something like that. So again, the food doesn't have to be amazing. If it's healthy, fantastic. If not, it's just another attachment. Yeah. But it's good to have a healthy body, of course. I'm not saying it's not good. Okay.
I'm sorry, I always have to check this one. No, not object. It's also good to enjoy. I mean,
it's very important to enjoy.
How great our lives are, whether you have the most privileged life, there's a lot of pain and suffering. And if you're not, you can enjoy and even spend a few minutes of meditation, what you have for lunch. It's better if not, but without hurting your practice. I mean,
if you cannot enjoy, Buddhism is not for you.
Exactly. You need some kind of.
But it depends where you look, where you're looking for the joy. You see, joyful, pleasant feelings, they come from past actions, positive actions. They're not coming from the object. I mean, it's very obvious because our relationship to the object changes, even though the object doesn't change. But we don't want to see this. Then we think, oh, something wrong with the object, and we go and find something different, which is new. So you see, what we are constantly on the search is to find the first moment of tasting something. That's why always something new. Why? Why is the first moment when it is appealing also? You know, not everything, not always. But why is the first moment always so good? And why are we trying to, well, we're trying to reproduce the feeling because it's good. Because we have nothing to compare it with. And then we enjoy. Yeah. You need to talk really loud because I also don't hear well.
How can you enjoy it without touching?
Yeah, that's, oh, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. You can, when you feel that there's joy coming up, for example, at least to think, oh, may all beings have this feeling of joy. You know, then it's not so much that. Then you can, these are, you know, again, mind training, yeah, but it takes a long time for this to work. Then instead of going, you know, very delicious food, instead of immediately running to the person who made it, said, oh, can I have the recipe? That's the thing we want to repeat. You know, don't ask for the recipe. It's like, it will not be the same anyway, because it's not the first time. You will compare it with what you ate before, so there's no point asking for recipes. Make your own stuff, make it up. One thing, so this is may all beings enjoy this food. I'm not suggesting to people who are not very experienced to think about impermanence and, you know, but about the conditions. Why am I enjoying this? Because I'm well, I don't suffer so much, I don't have toothache, my husband is still with me, I can pay my bills and all this, because otherwise it doesn't, you know, it's very difficult to enjoy. Then what else can you do? Gratitude. What we did this morning, you know, it comes from somebody else, and not just one person, not just the last one who cooked it and put it in the plate. It comes from so many beings. And then Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he was on the aeroplane, so he would not just gratitude for having the food, but also having food and having something to offer to the Buddhas. Because of course these lamas are very grateful to the Buddhas that they finished the path and then gave the teachings and gave the instructions, so they also attained these realizations. So he would get the food, like everybody else on the plane, and he would start offering it, you know, to this Buddha, to that Buddha, to these Bodhisattvas and these ones, one after the other, to all holy objects in the universe, first Nepal, then India, then Tibet, then Indian house, and this and that. And sometimes, you know, the flight attendant would come and say, look, I'm sorry, I have to take it away because we're landing. And Roger would say, but he hasn't even touched it. Rinpoche would say, it's okay, I already offered it. And he's offering the food on behalf of the people who made the food. so that they get the merit. Like, again, these beings, they do that very naturally. For me, this is still very far away. I have to remember before I eat to say the verse at least. But sometimes it's just blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. Sometimes I'm really there. Especially when I'm with others. This is why others are so important, that we practice together. Then I'm much more there when others do the same thing. This is why Sangha is so important. So gratitude, to really think, whoever made this food, may they be happy, may they be well, may they be, may they be able to, may I be able to give something back that I have received the food also. But also all this, as I said this morning at the beginning, to have no anger, to have no attachment. We have to realize emptiness, otherwise it's not possible. As long as there's feeling of I or me, it goes together. Yeah, the wrong view. Don't be disappointed now. It's okay. We can reduce attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, things like that. But attachment is one of the, we very often talk about anger here, so this one we leave it a little bit, because by now we should know what the antidote to anger is. What's the antidote to anger? Patience, exactly. But patience doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Patience means you don't hurt even if you could. You don't hurt back. Anger wants to hurt, right? It doesn't mean that you're not trying to change the situation. Especially when you see that what is happening and it affects many people. Yeah, so this is okay. Don't think, just think, house is starting to burn. Okay, I'll practice patience. No, you get up and run away. It's okay, To react is okay, but not with anger. And as long as we haven't realized emptiness, we will create negative karma just by the wrong views. Even the so-called good actions we do there are flawed, because there's a real I doing a real action to a real others. And these the negative emotions, they have advantages. Like I said, anger. Sometimes you can force somebody to do something for you that they wouldn't do if they weren't afraid of you. So then we like that. This is wonderful. This is great. But the antidote is patience. But patience is like, again, it's total misunderstanding. Not total, but we have great misunderstanding what patience is. It's not being ineffective. It's being reacting with a calm mind, right? And reacting with a calm mind. There's many, many antidotes to bring a calm mind. It's by seeing, okay, it's my responsibility also, not just, but also, I also have a part in this, to try to see the other has no control. Can we assume, at least, just maybe a little bit assume, that nobody wants to have negative emotions? Does it appear like that? Do we see that very clearly, that nobody wants to have negative emotions? Can we see that? In your government, do you see that they also don't want to have their negative emotions?
Of course, they are doing what they are doing to.
Yeah, but you can see their attachment and their ignorance and their non-skillful means and all this, and you think that they want to have these things, no?
No, they want to be happy.
They want to be happy. Okay. Yeah, they want to be happy. They want to have what they want to have.
More power.
Yeah. But let's bring it down to personal level again, because it's kind of easier. But when somebody is, somebody's really nasty and angry, and don't we think that they should have better control over their anger?
Yes.
Don't we think that they do have control? They could be different? Yeah.
Yes.
But they cannot. They cannot, same way as we cannot. When anger arises and you have no tools to deal with it, that's it. They're total prisoner. Yeah. So it's good to recognize that. As Shantideva says, like we have some people that we kind of put them into the category, that's their nature. They're angry by nature, that's how they are. Then Shantideva says, actually Yaki, yeah? Yaki will teach, where's Tommy? Yaki will teach on Shantideva, I thought. Yeah. But it's such a beautiful text. It's such a good manual for people who want to practice. It's hard. Yeah, it's like he will ask, but don't forget when he talks to like this, he's not talking to you, he's talking to himself. Because he has decided, I want to attain enlightenment, I want to be a bodhisattva, I want to be of benefit to others. So he puts all these kind of tasks on himself, how he wants to transform his mind. Then you take whatever you think is helpful and that you can take. Not more than that. I'm not Shantideva, but I find it very inspiring, you know. Like it gives you a broader view, like in this, if you get discouraged in your practice, then go to the 7th chapter on enthusiasm, where, for example, there's one verse, I think it's 40 or something, where it says, how can you be depressed riding on the horse of bodhicitta? Let that sink in for those people who know bodhicitta, you know. We have been exposed to this beautiful mind. We are interested in developing it. We know it's difficult to develop. We know it takes eons to develop it, but we're still doing it and we haven't given up yet. What better things do you want? Yeah? So there's many he's very skillful, but he knows what to apply when. So sometimes he's encouraging himself, praising himself. Other times he really puts himself down, that we go like, oh, this is not healthy, like this. Sometimes it's good to say, hey, come on, you can do better. But only sometimes. Not always. You need to become your own therapist, basically, that you know what to apply when, and you have all these many, many verses that you can apply. But coming back to the person that we think is by nature angry, they are like this, then he says, why get angry at them? This is very childish of getting angry at an angry person. They have no control. But you have some control. You have some knowledge. So why are you getting angry at these people? You should have compassion for them. Oh, it's very difficult to have compassion to people who are harming and to trample our values and stuff like that. So then he says, you know, if you get angry at somebody that you think by nature there's no way they can change their anger, why do you expect them to be not to be angry? Is one thing. Yeah, we're convinced that is their nature, but still we want them not to be angry. It's like saying, I don't want the water to be wet. I don't want the fire to burn. Come on. Yeah. So if you think they're like this, what's the point of getting angry? Because it's like getting angry at the fire for making smoke. Yeah, then Ben said yesterday something, but we want, or you said, we want to put the fire out or something, so there's no smoke. Right? As long as there's fire, there's smoke. It goes together, or heat. Yeah, maybe not smoke, but heat. If you think that somebody just from time to time is angry or behaves in a negative way, what's the point of getting angry? It's like getting angry at the sky when there's clouds. I mean, again, here it doesn't work because you're happy when there's clouds. So anyway, a bit like that. Yeah. It's really, really helpful. You know, we have all these realized people who gave us texts like in verses where we can pick one or two that we know when to apply what, when. Great antidote. And it really calms us down. Just to say, why getting angry at somebody who is angry? It doesn't help them with their anger. They have less control than you have. Yeah? So like this. So with the attachment, it's more difficult because it feels good. We think. Because we're excited, we're looking forward to something, and this and that. But it has a lot of shortcomings. It does have advantages, and actually this is also from Tillman, where he says, desire is interested and creates contact. It's true, if somebody that's, you know, in a worldly way, has absolutely no desires, then he has no joy, he's totally boring, and he's bored all the time. You know, they're blasé. These people have had everything and seen everything. It's like this. So desire is interested. It wakes us up. You know, also anger wakes us up, but not in such a good way. And that produces joy. When we talk about giving up attachment, there is the fear that we lose the joy that comes from contact with partners and friends. Or with nice things. It's like French people,